All right, folks, buckle up, because today we're diving deep into the life of one of history's most notorious figures, Adolf Hitler. We all know him as the tyrannical dictator of Nazi Germany, responsible for unimaginable horrors. But what about the man behind the madness? What secrets were hidden beneath the surface? In this video, we're going off the beaten path, peeling back the layers of history to uncover 5 unknown facts about Adolf Hitler that will completely change your perspective. Trust me, you're not ready for this. These aren't your typical history textbook facts. We're talking about the kind of stuff that they don't teach you in school, the weird, the wild, the downright unbelievable. So, grab your thinking caps because this is going to be a wild ride. We're about to explore the hidden corners of Hitler's life, his fears, his failures, his obsessions. Get ready to question everything you thought you knew. This is the untold story of Adolf Hitler. All right, let's kick things off with a curveball. You'd think a man who penned Mein Kampf, a rambling manifesto outlining his twisted ideology, would be a master of the written word, right? Wrong. Turns out Hitler's handwriting was atrocious. Like, seriously bad. We're talking doctor's note, chicken scratch bad. Imagine being his secretary, trying to decipher those scribbles. It's almost comical. But this seemingly insignificant detail actually had a huge impact on his life. Think about it. Clear communication is essential, especially for a leader. Could this have contributed to misinterpretations, miscommunications, maybe even fueled his rage? Some historians believe that Hitler's poor handwriting stemmed from a deep-seated insecurity, almost like he was ashamed of it, you know? He even went to great lengths to hide it, often dictating letters and speeches instead of writing them himself. Now, I'm not saying that his bad handwriting caused World War II, but it makes you wonder, doesn't it? How different might things have been if he had just taken a calligraphy class? It's a bizarre rabbit hole, man. The ripple effects of something so seemingly small. This handwriting thing, it's like a window into his psyche, a little glimpse into the mind of a dictator. It's the kind of detail that makes you realize that even the most powerful figures have their quirks, their vulnerabilities. It's easy to think of these historical figures as larger than life, but they were human beings. Flawed, complex human beings. And sometimes those flaws, those little details, can have a bigger impact than we realize. So, next time you're struggling to read your own handwriting, just remember, it could be worse. You could be trying to decipher the ramblings of a dictator. But seriously, this handwriting thing is just the tip of the iceberg. We're about to dive into some even crazier stuff, like Hitler's failed dreams of becoming an artist. Stay with me, folks. It's about to get weird. Hitler wanted to be an artist, specifically an architect. The man who designed the downfall of Europe once dreamed of designing buildings. But he wasn't exactly Picasso. He applied twice to the Vienna Academy of Fine Arts and was rejected both times. Imagine the sting of that rejection. This was a pivotal moment in his life. Some believe if he had been accepted, history might have unfolded differently. Instead of becoming the Führer, he could have been designing buildings. But fate had other plans. Rejection festered, his anger grew, and the rest is history. It humanizes him, but also makes his descent into madness more terrifying. If this ordinary guy with artistic aspirations could become a monster, what does that say about the potential for darkness within all of us? It's a sobering thought. One small decision can send shockwaves through history, and we're just getting started. All right, so we've talked about Hitler's handwriting, his failed art career, but get ready for this. The man who struck fear into the hearts of millions was terrified of cats. Yeah, cats. Those fluffy, cuddly creatures that the internet is obsessed with. Hitler couldn't stand them. He had Ailurophobia, an intense, irrational fear of cats. And we're not talking about a mild dislike here, folks. This was a full-blown phobia that had a real impact on his life. There are stories of Hitler breaking out in a cold sweat at the mere sight of a cat. Some historians even speculate that his fear of cats stemmed from a traumatic childhood experience. Maybe he was scratched, hissed at, who knows? The point is, this fear was deeply ingrained in his psyche. Now you might be thinking, okay, so the guy didn't like cats. What's the big deal? But think about it. This is the leader of Nazi Germany we're talking about. A man who projected an image of absolute power and control. And yet, behind that facade, He was harboring this secret fear. It's almost comical, but it also reveals a certain vulnerability, a crack in the armor. It's a reminder that even the most ruthless dictators are still human, with all the quirks and phobias that come with being human. Some have even suggested that Hitler's fear of cats might have influenced some of his decisions. Did he avoid certain places or people because of his phobia? It's impossible to say for sure, but it's an intriguing thought. This whole cat thing, it's a perfect example of how our fears can control us, even if those fears seem irrational to others. It's a reminder that we're all human, even the most powerful among us. But hold on, because we're about to go even deeper into the rabbit hole. Next up, we're uncovering the truth about Hitler's drug use. And let me tell you, it's a wild ride. Don't touch that dial. All right, let's talk about something that's been whispered about in hushed tones for decades: Hitler's drug use. This isn't some conspiracy theory, folks. This is well documented. The guy was high as a kite for a good chunk of his reign. We're not talking about the occasional joint here. We're talking about a full-blown pharmaceutical cocktail that would make Hunter S. Thompson blush. Cocaine, amphetamines, barbiturates, you name it, he was on it. His personal physician, a guy named Theodore Morell, was basically a real-life Dr. Frankenstein, pumping him full of experimental drugs. Some historians believe that Hitler's drug use played a significant role in his erratic behavior, his paranoia, his increasingly delusional decisions. Imagine being in the war room, strategizing with a coked-up dictator who's seeing enemies everywhere. It's a terrifying thought. His drug use, it wasn't just a personal problem, it was a national security threat. The craziest part is that Hitler was a staunch anti-smoker and barely drank alcohol. He saw himself as a picture of Aryan health, but in reality, he was a drug addict. The irony is almost too much to handle. This whole drug thing, it adds a whole new dimension to our understanding of Hitler and the Third Reich. It makes you question everything. Was he really in control, or was he just a puppet dancing to the tune of his addictions? It's a sobering thought, man. It shows how easily power can be corrupted, how even the most powerful individuals can fall prey to their vices. And it makes you wonder, what other secrets are still hidden in the shadows of history? We're about to uncover one more secret, a surprising one, about Hitler's love for art. Stay tuned, because this one might surprise you. Alright, so we've covered some dark and disturbing stuff today, but here's a curveball for you. Hitler, the architect of genocide, the man who unleashed unimaginable horrors upon the world, was a massive art enthusiast. Yeah, you heard that right. He fancied himself a connoisseur, even though his taste was, let's just say, questionable. He amassed a vast collection of art, thousands of pieces, everything from paintings and sculptures to tapestries and furniture. Now, this wasn't just some hobby for Hitler. Art was an obsession. He saw himself as a patron of the arts, a modern-day Medici. He even dreamed of building a massive museum in his hometown of Linz, Austria, to house his collection. The thing is, Hitler's taste in art was as twisted as his ideology. He hated modern art, calling it degenerate. He preferred classical realism, romantic landscapes, anything that glorified the Aryan ideal. He even used art as a weapon, looting countless masterpieces from museums and private collections across Europe. The Nazis stole more art than any other regime in history. It was cultural genocide on a massive scale. This whole art thing, it's a bizarre contradiction. On one hand, you have this monster who orchestrated the destruction of millions of lives. On the other hand, you have this guy who wept at the beauty of a classical painting. It's a reminder that human beings are complex creatures, capable of both great evil and a profound appreciation for beauty. It's a disturbing thought, but it's the truth. And that's what we've been exploring today. The truth, however uncomfortable it may be. The truth about Adolf Hitler, the man behind the myth. So, there you have it, folks. 5 unknown facts about Adolf Hitler that shed light on the complex and often contradictory nature of one of history's most infamous figures. It's easy to dismiss him as a monster, a one-dimensional embodiment of evil. But the truth is, he was a human being, a flawed, complex, deeply disturbed human being. And while we can never condone his actions, we can try to understand the man behind the atrocities, because only by understanding the darkness can we hope to prevent it from happening again. If you found this video as mind-blowing as I did, Hit that like button, subscribe to the channel for more deep dives into the unknown, and share this video with your friends. Let's keep the conversation going. These facts shed light on the hidden facets of Adolf Hitler's life, painting a more complex picture of the man behind the atrocities. If you found this video intriguing, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more content like this.